Hello, and welcome to Health and Fitness Redefined. I'm your host, Anthony Amen. Join me today as we take a dive into the world of health and fitness, where we overcome adversity to pick back fiction and see health and fitness in a whole new light. Today, we have a great mindset opportunity. Get yourself right. 1 to 3 minutes, how to change your life. I am really excited, but before we introduce our guest, guys, don't forget, we have started our Patreon account, link in the descriptions. If you are a gym owner, a personal trainer, someone interested to get in the field, go check out that link. I'm here to help, and I'm excited to get this program up and running. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show's today's guest, Sandy. Welcome to the show, Sandy. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
I'm just sitting here cracking up thinking how lucky your clients are. With that energy, I was like, oh my God, I can't even imagine the two of us being in the same room. It would be like, ah.
It gets really chaotic because this is 24/7 of how I am when I'm there and I'm just like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, me too. I get it. When I see people, it's like, oh my God, people.
I love it, but everyone knows about me. We all want to know about you. So why don't you take us back and to how you even got in this mindset kind of training to begin with? Take us all the way back, Sandy.
Woo. All right. Well, you know what the funny thing is? Everything I built a career doing and love doing, I have been doing since I was a kid, but didn't know it was like mindset. I just knew for me, it was survival. So as a kid, I grew up in a very humble beginning, growing up in the projects, which made me who I am today. But in addition to that, which is something I didn't really talk about till recently, because it just was too painful and I wasn't coming from a place of love and peace and joy, but now I am, and I hope it inspires others. I also had a mother that most of her life, at least 50%, spent in mental institutions. And most of them were not... Well, they were poverty, so they weren't the best mental institutions. Not that any mental institution is that great. So it was a whirlwind as a kid. And it was a lot of severe stress and, may I say, painful times. But for me, I didn't see it that way. I know it sounds crazy, but not that I wasn't sad at times, but I always thought there was more for me, and that I could get out of this situation. And I used words, movement, and laughter. So I had been dancing since I was 4. I bribed my uncle to take me to dance studio. Thank you, Uncle Don. I would focus in on one word. Like if I could just wake up in the morning and how did I want to show up? I know as a kid, okay, I'm going to show up with peace, calm, power, joy. And if I could just focus in on that word when anything got crazy, and then I would make light of everything. It didn't matter because that was my coping skills. Now, I didn't think of this as a system or a method. It just was, I feel, divine intervention that I was able to take these 3 tools. And in spite of everybody telling me, Sandy, be happy to graduate high school. That'll be a good thing. Not that there's anything wrong with just graduating high school. I'll be happy to be a waitress. I felt for me that I had more to do in the world. And I would take those 3 things every day, just for a few minutes. I'd move, I'd dance, I'd focus my work. I would journal, and then I would just envision where I wanted to go. Envision myself on dance stages. Envision myself getting to college. Fast forward, I had no idea in my wildest dreams, Anthony, that I would own health clubs and speak around the world. For me, I was thinking, okay, got to college, I'll be a dance instructor and that'll be great, And then it took me to training people. And from training people, they believed in me and they really mentored me. I felt like Philadelphia's favorite daughter. I'm not kidding you. And when people come to me and they say, well, what was your secret sauce? How did you get all these famous people? Well, number one, I'm not putting myself down, Anthony, but it was 1985. So there really weren't that many trainers. I cornered the market. I mean, I had everybody and anybody who was who's who. Number two, I was just there for them. I just cared about them. I wasn't trying to get something from them, even though, I knew who they were. They could take me far. I just was like, I'm there totally and present for them. And guess what? They can see through it. They can see through if you're manipulating. So because of that, and I put 100% into them and what I was doing, everything kept building on, one thing after another. And so as I'm training, you should open a gym. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it took me 3 years and a lot of work, but then it happened. You want to be NBC 10's fitness expert? And we'll pay you. Can you believe that? Back then, I'm like, okay. And then of course I studied, but everything I got, I can't tell you, I want to be on NBC 10. I want to write books. But when the idea came up and it really felt great in my heart, I went for it. And it changed my entire life because of what I did to survive as a kid. Crazy.
I have a couple questions. I'm just envisioning your story right now. I want to go back. You were talking about your mother. Was a father in the picture at all or no?
Yeah, my father was. He just wasn't, I'm not going to say this enough. He didn't have the capacity to deal with my mom. Like when I wrote actually my keynote, and for the first time, and I have to tell you, Anthony, and I never put it down to words. I never told my story. Nobody ever asked. So they just assumed I came from wealth, happy parents, and everything was loving. I didn't lie, but no one really asked me. So when I was writing my keynote and they were like, tell us a little bit more and digging, it took a lot of time because it was so painful to write the stories. And the woman who was editing it, she's like, you paint your dad like, you feel sorry for him and all he went through and how your mom beat him and all this stuff. But you do know he kind of stranded you. And I never thought it that way. I just thought, yeah, I wish he would have stuck up for his family more and just didn't leave me there with her. But I don't think he had the capacity, Anthony. I don't think he was able to.
So he was presently there, but he wasn't mentally there.
Yeah, he wasn't able to control my mother or forget control her, even take us, maybe me and my brother, out of that situation. He should have taken us out of that situation. Instead, when things would get really bad, and by the way, it was better for me when she was in the mental institution because I would say, it's a stay vacation. I mean, no screaming, no yelling. When it would get really, really bad, he would leave. We didn't really have a car, so he would sleep most nights in a laundromat. But then there we were. And my brother, God bless his soul, amazing guy at the time, would just get stoned, and who could blame him to not deal with it? So I would move, dance, and sing songs and write in my journal. I swear to God, Anthony, if you looked at my life, you have to believe there's a higher power. There has to be something out there, whatever it is, because I can't explain why I was so lucky. I don't know why.
It's these stories always like blow my mind.
It blows my mind.
Because people think that if you grow up in a situation like that, coming from the projects, having the family life you're basically destined to stay on the streets, not leave, and be stuck there. But then you always hear, when you start talking to people, you usually find that the most successful people grew up in the projects, lived on the streets, because they had the understanding of, this is what's going on. I need to get out. How can I do this? And they create this drive inside of themselves to push and be successful. And I want to reiterate back to previous topics we've talked about on the show, where it's a sad truth where those that have to go through the worst of hardships always end up better off than those that have given everything to them. And that has so much power and understanding too, because I don't know many people who have accomplished greatness that at some point in their life haven't experienced something so screwed up, so beat down and got them to the bottom of the barrel that are successful. People just take it for granted if things given to them. They don't get to understand and appreciate what life is and how to push a drive and how to create these mental affirmations like you were talking about. You have anything to add to that?
Well, you know what? First of all, I love the way you said that. But my innate belief is everybody cycles in and out. So this was my journey. Everyone has the journey they're on. And I'm not here to decide what that is for other people. So people that have had it easier, let's just even say everyone has extreme pain in life. Everyone experiences extreme stress. Everyone does at some time in their life. How they handle it is a whole different thing. But everyone has that. But the real, like you said, tough situations like myself, that was my journey. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Although we had a talk, next time we're coming back in, much happier place. But the other people, they weren't meant to have that journey. And they don't maybe need to go to those extreme levels to find fulfillment in life. So everyone has a different journey. But I can tell you, for me, I used to say to people, what are you going to take from me? Money? Like, it was easy to be an entrepreneur because if you took away money, oh, well, I've been happy without it. You took away success. Oh, well, I'll be happy without it. So I had this system and technique. Can you imagine, to find pure joy no matter what was happening outside my world? So that was the best ever.
It's almost like you're willing to risk more because you've experienced the other end of it, and who cares? So if I say I'm all in, I don't care if I fail, then you're more likely to succeed because you're diving all in, you're not holding anything back, and you don't care if you fail. You usually end up successful from doing that.
Yeah. And you know what? The more and more you talk to entrepreneurs, if they're honest, come on. I don't even call it failure. I just say, it didn't work out that time. You take twists and turns. There's ups and downs. The true entrepreneur, and you and I were talking about this a bit before, not everybody's meant for that. And nor should everybody be meant for that. You need all types of people in this world. But the true entrepreneur, they're going to put it all out there. And guess what? Not everything's going to work. Like people used to say, everything you touch turns to gold. You didn't see the other 9 things of all the crazy ideas I came up with in the fitness world that were like, oh God, I don't know what I was thinking. But then the one would land and it'd be, woo. Like I brought spin into my club in 1993. They thought I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? A black room with spin bikes or inside. And then look, right? So they'll see something like that, but they didn't see all the other stuff that went.
I can totally relate.
Right?
There are things that just go. So in out, but it's the adaptability and the willingness to at least try 10 things that makes the difference. Where most people don't want to try 10 things. They want to try once and they fail, and then they just, okay, that's it. I'm done. I tried. End of story.
But there's many reasons, but the people that I work with, one of the main ones, they don't feel like they could deal with that because it would affect their self-worth, that they couldn't handle that failure. So if they don't fail, they're not really putting themselves out there, but they don't have to deal with that. Instead of me, that's not how I look at who I am. If it didn't work out, I say, I'm just so proud of myself for trying, and putting myself, which is a whole different spin. So when they finally accept they're not perfect and they're not supposed to be perfect, and they start tapping into their heart to love all of them, then they're going to risk more.
So true.
Right? So true.
It's so true. It's just, I'm just sitting here and relating to like my own past life and putting these parallels that when I talk to people like yourself, it's the same kind of story, just a different area.
Yeah.
And it's always the relating back to finding those affirmations and finding a way to cope and push yourself and take a deep breath and not just utterly fall and collapse and things go away. But going back to that simple, basic, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, that
Yeah.
repetitive nature, pushing yourself in the right direction, that really ultimately helps you. It helps keep your mind right, even when the world around you is
Yeah.
falling apart, whether we think it actually is or it's made up in our heads. That
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how do you personally teach this to other people? Because I know you have a lot of experience in that
Mm.
realm when you get people that are just beat up and don't see the brighter picture and just so mentally drained and say, why me? Or they think they're a black sheep and everything. I see people that go through these hardships, but they just take it because they're like, oh, I deserve it. I just have bad
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you address this situation?
Well, first of all, there are clients like that, that they just can't get out of their way, and they've created this mindset, and I call it, just the habit of way they think. But there's also people that go through tough times in this moment, like they can't get out of their own way. And I say one of three areas of their life. They feel anxiety, stressed out, or overwhelmed, and they think that one area, well, I'm great at this area, but not that. For example, money, career, right? Some people have that going on, body health, or love relationships. So a lot of the people I deal with, they might have one of those areas going well, but the other one, and they kind of just think, oh, well, that's just going to be me. And what I get them to do is say, okay, so first of all, let's get to that place of your pure essence, which is peace, love, and joy. And take a step back. And I always have them a lot of times put their hand on their heart, and I'll just relax them at first. And this is something your people can do. And just breathe in slowly 4 counts and breathe out peace. And just breathe in peace for the world and then breathe it out. It settles you right down. Then breathe in love and then breathe it out. And then joy. And you can just even do this for a minute. You could just focus in on peace. You could focus in on love, joy. In 1 minute, all of a sudden, you settle down. Then I say to them, before you get out of bed in the morning, just take 30 seconds and decide how you want to show up in the world. Now, if you're talking about way down and they just feel, like it's not for them and they're not worthy of happiness, then I just want them to focus in on a word like peace, calm, serenity, ease, and flow, because I don't want to take them from down here. They're not going to be like, yeah, joyful, up in the pippy. But if you are here and you're just trying to up level, then how do you choose to show up in the world? And that could be powerful, joyful, fun. And just breathe in and out and just take that time to envision it in your head. Then once you do that, that's only 30 seconds, right? And everybody, a lot of time people hit the button. That's all. I don't want anything to go. Before you start your day, whether I call it your game plan, your journal, write down your word that you're focused on. How do you want to show up? Whatever it is, it could be freedom, joy. And then from that, create your game plan, even just for the week, for the next 30 days, which is goal, the action you're willing to take to get that goal or benchmark, what's really motivating you, like why do you really want that, and the attention, the energy level you're putting in. I have them create something that literally will only take them a minute, with a power statement to reflect on. Now, if you just go through it, Anthony, and just go check, 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 I'm powerful, I'm great. Well, it won't have the same power. You want to take just that minute of connecting to your heart through your breathing so that you can listen to, why am I doing this? Why does Anthony really want that? Because you got to tune out all the chatter of what other people put on you, society puts on you, what you're expected, and really listen to it. Now, those simple things make a huge difference over time in someone's life. That minute, that 2 minutes every day. If you feel anxiety, overwhelmed, just even taking a minute to breathe and connect to your body and word. Acknowledge those thoughts you're having. Don't dismiss them. Everyone has those thoughts. They're just thoughts. They're not true. They're not untrue. They're just thoughts spinning in your head. You just see them. You let them go. Again, you don't judge them. And then you say, what thoughts in this area would make me feel better? What can I do right now for me right now? They're not long. None of I'm teaching takes more than a few minutes, but it's those little seeds, like I heard you on one other podcast, that you plant every day. The toughest part for people is it seems so easy. They think it won't work. They think it's got to be nothing wrong with those painful workouts because I'm a mountain biker. I love them, but it doesn't have to be that painful. Those few minutes every day, then you're going to find the food that you really enjoy. You're going to find the workouts that you really love and are passionate about, whether a few minutes every day of a dance reset or they're 2 hours in the gym. But it all comes back for, connecting the mind, body, spirit, which, thank you. Now there's science behind how that works. Like I always would say, I listen to my heart and my heart feeds my brain. And now, by the way, if they want to check it out, the Heart Math Institute is showing all the physiology behind how the heart does feed the brain. And also, one of my favorites, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is showing people that forget your belief. This is science, baby, and you can change it within a few minutes. I'm like, whoa, you mean all the stuff I've been just telling people? There's really now proof in the last few years, which is great because some people need that science behind it.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. And I got a bunch of specific related questions I want to hear answer from related to this because there's so many ways you can kind of branch off of this and go. But first, we're going to take a quick break, guys. Quick word from our sponsor, and then we will be right back. Thank you to our sponsor, Hydronique Hydration Electrolyte Powder Drink Packets. Started in the midst of the pandemic, the founder of Hydronique Hydration, a frontline healthcare worker, started developing constant headaches. A landmark research study published early during the pandemic showed that 81% of frontline healthcare workers developed new headaches, mainly because of their PPE, which prevented them from eating and drinking properly while on the job. He would leave work tired, dehydrated, and burnt out. The founder looked for a healthy drink with all the necessary vitamins and minerals, but with no sugar. But most powdered drinks in the market have a ton of sugar and caffeine. That's why he created Hydronique Hydration, sugar-free, plant-based, antioxidant-rich electrolyte powder packets for daily use, containing all essential vitamins and minerals with a refreshing taste. Their product contains elderberry, which is known to have immune-boosting properties, especially during the cold and flu season. Hydronique Hydration electrolyte powders can also fit in your bag or suitcase when traveling and are super convenient just to carry around and have with you day to day. So if you're having trouble with eating and drinking healthy during your busy day and want a great alternative to other high sugar hydration companies, then give Hydronique Hydration a try. There are 30 of these great electrolyte powder packets in a pouch, perfect for a 1 month supply. You can visit www.hydroniquehydration.com. That's www.hydronique hydration.com. It's the word hydration and unique mashed together. Or search Hydronique Hydration on Amazon, where they are offering a $10 discount coupon at checkout. Anyway, guys, links in the bio. Please go check them out. Thank you again to our sponsor, Hydronique Hydration. I drink these packets almost every single day. They also have a ton of great vitamins and nutrients in them, including vitamin C, the elderberry mentioned, magnesium, and zinc. So even if you have a little night out with too many drinks, or you had a really good workout, because I hope that's the reason, grab one of these packets today, pick it up. Now back to the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. We got Sandy here. We're going to ask specific questions about how to take everything she just dived into, because that was a lot of information about how science is backing it up, how to really just taking under 3 minutes a day can really just change your life. So first, Sandy, I'm going to ask you just the first thing that kind of popped into my head when we were going through that. How do you talk to people or start a conversation with people that are so convinced that everything just they're doing and all their bad stuff is their way that they don't even want to heed this advice. Because most of the time, like as an example, if I'm showing up to listen to one of your keynote speaks or something, I'm already at that point convinced I'm showing up, I want help.
Yeah.
But how do you address the people that aren't even ready for that yet because they're just so taken aback that I deserve this and it's just my anxiety and depression and there's nothing I can do about it and this is all hogwash?
You can't, Anthony. You can't. You could keep preaching or talking or showing up in that loving space for them for now, and maybe slowly it will get in, or you'll plant the seed, or you can guide them in the future. But until somebody wants to change, they have to be ready. There's nothing you can do. They're going to just keep pushing you away. So what I do, and I get chills thinking about the biggest thing that I do for people is I just show up with love. I just listen to them and I send them love and then I send them peace and I send them joy. Even the most difficult people, which a lot of times are your friends and family, I just keep writing and I send them love and peace and joy. And I do believe that helps. If I can hold that space for them, even when they can't, eventually they will come around. I've seen the craziest people that have really finally said, I'm ready. I accept my life. I accept responsibility, which they have to. And I believe part of it is holding that space for them, holding that. I can feel the love. And I can look at a person, what everybody might say, oh my God, there's such hatred. And will tap into their love, peace, and joy. And I can just see them beaming around it. And it's just magical.
Yeah, I think based off of what you were talking about, another way to kind of approach it for those that want a little more of a sciencey to it.
A sciencey to it. Okay,
like even not even sciencey, just more like psychology too, because that was my major. It was all psychology. So it was people suck at active listening. I think that's the biggest thing. We have conversations with people, we talk to people, but we're really not listening. We already know what we're gonna say before you even answer my question, and we're gonna follow up with it instead of really absorbing what someone's saying, digesting it, bringing it back. And I grew up in a very Italian house and everyone's talking, nobody's listening.
Gotcha.
And you can understand that. And then they go, oh, I don't remember you were talking about that. And you kind of feel left out in the crowd and no one's really understanding where you're coming from. So based upon that approach that we're talking about, do you think that maybe showing up with that kind of active love or whatever it is, just coming in as an active listener and actually sitting down and trying to get through to somebody by listening to what they have to say and just being there for them that way could make all the difference in the world? What do you think about that?
Well, I think you're right on both parts, but it first comes from, if you're going, like you said, the number one thing you can do is listen to someone, right? We were talking about that before, even as just, and you're a great podcast host because I can see you're intently listening to me. And I really appreciate it and I feel it. So when you really listen to someone and find out why they believe the way they believe, how they're thinking the way you're thinking without judging it, that is coming from a space of love. So the first thing is coming in with an open mind, like you said, to be able to listen to them, whether you want to call it coming from peace, love, and joy. When you come from with an open mind, just listening to them, you are. And then just being for them and not, this is the big thing, I'm so glad you brought up because you're not there to fix them. They're not broken. You're not supposed to fix them. You're just there to listen and to understand so you can say, oh, you don't have to be a therapist to say, thank you for sharing. At least you understand how they feel and why they feel. And then from there, it depends on them.
Yeah, I agree. It's not, I don't really know what else to say besides it's just in our generation, just to elaborate more what I was talking about was the phones for now. Like how many times do you go out to eat and couples are just on their phones? One's talking and one's scrolling through Facebook.
I know.
It's just like, as a person speaking, you're not paying attention to me. Your attention is also, you might be listening, and I'm going to do heavily quotations stuff, but you're not actively listening to me. You're not fully understanding. When I'm
No.
talking to somebody, I want that deep connection, especially with somebody I have a relationship with that's a close friend or a significant other. Like those are important relationships. So take your phone and stop scrolling through Facebook and putting your attention to somebody else and put it with the person you're with. Because maybe that in of itself will help somebody understand that they're important. Because hey, if I can get you to listen, then maybe I can get somebody else to listen.
Oh, I love that you said that. Oh my God. That's so great, Anthony, because you're right. Remember, I was telling you about even the other podcast I started for women. They just want to be heard. If I cannot tell you how many people say to me, even at work, they feel like they're not heard, and they want validation that you at least listen to them. I'm thinking of my son who's 18, and he'll like, Mom, I hear you. I go, eyes. The most important thing you can do for someone in that moment, it doesn't have to be an hour. I'd rather have 5 minutes with you fully here, eyes, and not like, oh, the phone beeped. And I feel that is the younger generation. They feel like it beeped. It's an emergency. I have to see what's going on. And I say, no, not for right now. And it's wonderful. And he does that with me. I have to keep reminding him, but he does that with me. And it's such a great, and he'll now say to me, by the way, Mom, listen, I'm texting a message, which I think is, can you give me a minute? I want to be fully present. I thought if I taught you nothing else, that's a good thing.
I love that. That's awesome. Because then at least you understand, like, he's like, all right, I'm somewhere else. And I do that with my family. I'm like, okay, like, give me a minute. Let me get through this. Because you're going to be talking, and I'm not going to have any idea what you're saying.
Yeah. Me, I can't multitask. I have to be right there.
Little tidbit. Not actually, no one can multitask. It's actually no such thing. Just a little psychology lesson for everybody.
They just switch their brain back and forth. Is that what it is? They just keep switching back.
You only get 100%. And when you think about it in math terms, it kind of makes sense. You only have 100% of something. So I can put myself to one task, but I can't do two tasks at 100% each. I have to do 50-50. So I'm not truly multitasking because now I'm only giving half attention to both these things as opposed to my full attention on something. If you're doing 3 tasks, it's even worse. Now you're at 33% at each one of it giving your attention.
I like that.
Yeah. But I want to bring it back to kind of how we started with taking a deep breath and just taking a moment for you. 'Cause it's so important. And I don't want to seem like I'm beating a dead horse, but I really would love people to hear it a little more from you because they might not understand it hearing it from me, but you need to take time to take a deep breath, just go through your day. It makes it so much easier instead of getting lost in a shuffle, starting to stress. Because when you start building anxiety about, I have 75 things to do, and everything just starts building up, and you start stressing about one thing, and that leads to another. It makes the other one more stressful. And before you know it, these little tasks that you have to do, you're so stressed out. You're like, oh my God, this is horrible. I hate it. As opposed to just taking a million things, taking a deep breath and being like, all right, I know I can't multitask. It's impossible. Let me focus on one task. And if I don't get to the rest of it, at least I finished this one thing. And then I feel better. I could check something off my list. And then I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about how that could relate to what you were talking about before with joy and love and all that?
Yeah. It all relates because if every day, even if they did for the next 30 days, like we talked about, before you get out of bed, just for a few seconds, deep breath in, even if it's just for 30 seconds, and think about how you want to show up in the world. You know, what, even just one word. And then once you get out of bed, if you could take a minute even just to look at what your game plan is that you made up for the week and what you want to do that day, being realistic. I mean, you don't have to do a million things, just looking at it. And I always think for me right now, my two words are pure joy and financial freedom, because I'm starting this new company. And so I keep asking myself, is whatever I'm doing, is it going to bring me pure joy and financial freedom, which is what I want? And then when I go to do something, answer that email, sign that deal, talk to a friend, is it going to bring me pure joy and financial freedom? And if not, I've learned to say no. Okay, I don't need to do that. But it's, again, is it going to bring me ease and flow? Is it going to bring me, what is the word that you want to embody and have in your life, whether it's with, like we talked about, your career, money, love, relationship, or body health, whatever it is. And then throughout the day, of course, life is going to hit you, emails, people, they're going to throw you out of whack. Just take a step back, breathe deeply, just for a minute, reconnect to yourself, whatever, even if you just want to come from, don't say peace, love, just that powerful way, and say, wait a minute, is this going to bring me ease and flow? Is this going to bring me peace? Is this going to bring me power? If I could just get people to do that, they would realize that they really are happening to life. Life is not happening to them. They are happening to life. And not all the time, Anthony, but more of life. They'll have that peaceful, joyful, calm feeling, because you can't control everything going out there in the world. The only thing you control is you and your thoughts. And it's not all the time. It's just, I want it more of the time.
Yeah, it's a balance. I mean, not to bring it up, or just news and politics and everything going on in the world. It's all just distraction, and it grabs our attention, and everything's clickbait now. And hey, listen to me. Hey, watch me. And then it feels like you're just kind of reacting to situations instead of digesting and making situations happen, and
that's right,
intentional with what you're doing, as opposed to just reacting to what you're doing. And I love that. Just stop and drown it out, focus on that, and it all goes back to active listening. When it comes to you're making a decision in your life,
and you're listening to you, you're actively listening to you, you're connecting, to see. I always say, like, it's impossible. There's so many subconscious thoughts going on. You don't know, things are getting in there. But when you take that to say, is this something that I really want? Is this really going to bring me what I choose? Not even your family, not your friends, not social media. Nobody can just go through life with not tuning in with themselves, because there's too much out there, and especially now, we as humans, even if it serves us well, we don't really like change, and we don't like what's going on now, the unpredicted change. I don't care who you are, it's going to affect your nervous system. It's going to, and I don't even listen to the news that much. So I've been doing a lot more checking in with me, to feel, am I feeling that anxiety, that stress, that, overwhelmed, and what can I do right now that would serve me well?
Yeah, and I get lost in it a lot, and I'm the first to admit that I'm definitely not perfect.
Well, that's good, because that we would think no one's perfect. Nobody. And once we get that out of the way, you're going to love yourself a lot more. I say you got to love all of it. You got to love all of it. Now, that's easier said than done, and it is a process, and it does take a little time.
It's true that, like, you have to understand you're going to make mistakes. You have to understand that you're not going to be there 100%, but you need to try your best to make it happen, because we all get caught up in scrolling to Facebook or Instagram, or going watching the news, because you need to know what's going on, as opposed to just, it doesn't matter about my outside circumstances, what's going on in the world. I can control me. And it's one of my favorite sayings. It's control the controllables. What can I control? How can I take what's going on in my specific life right now and make it better? And that makes me happy knowing I can control that aspect of what's
That's
directly
exactly right.
happening to me instead of the indirect relationship that something that's completely out of my control. I'm not going to sit here and stress about it. I'm going to be aware of it. I don't think you
Yeah.
should be ignorant
Yeah.
to things,
Yeah.
but be aware, take it for what it is, control what you can control in your life, move on for that, and that's going to overall get rid of the anxiety. It's going to move you in the right direction. So when everyone else is saying 10 years from now, Sandy, how did you go ahead and become successful and do this, this, this? It's like you missed the 10 years I did these baby steps for each individual thing because you were too busy absorbing yourself in the political atmosphere of the nature. You're too busy going to the movies to making sure you were caught up, watching all these shows that had no absolute impact in your life. It's at the present moment. Instead of taking 5-10 minutes to focus on yourself and be intentional about what you're doing. So in 10 years, it looks like you made a huge accomplishment because you're too busy focusing somewhere else instead of here.
That's right. Absolutely right, Anthony.
I just hope that really opens up and leaves a different perspective to people. And it drives, you takes it a passion.
Yeah. I mean, it honestly, it's scary for some people to feel like they're in control of your life because a lot of people want to blame the world or their people or you knew my circumstance. But once they can accept themselves and they don't have to act a certain or be a certain way, and that people that they're worthy right now of all that you want in life, and they really work on that, and they realize that everybody has stuff, everybody. Man, it's so freeing because, like you said, the thing that you are in control of is you and your thoughts, and you can shift them.
And I'm just going to say it. I'm probably going to get backlash for this, but the people we tend to look up to, the ones we're saying that we're so jealous that they're so successful, I guarantee they had a worse life back 20, 30 years ago than you had. Because those are the people I'm seeing are truly the most. I'm not talking about the richest. I'm not talking about the most famous. I'm talking about mentally free and truly happy. Yeah. Those people have really gone through hell. And if you look back at their circumstance, 9 times out of 10, it was worse than what you're going through. So if they can do it, you can do it. And you can be just like they are if you think you can accomplish it. And it literally only takes a few minutes each day, like you were saying, to recenter yourself, focus on yourself, and push forward that way. I so believe that because I talk to people like you, and I used to think like I always thought this way, and I always did. And I was like, you know what? If I did it, everyone else can do it. But the more I do this show, and the more I meet people who are in way worse situations than I was ever in my life, and seeing the things they have accomplished, and it's so humbling, and it's so like, look at this person. I want to like show somebody who's complaining about life and complaining about where they live and saying, oh no, it's horrible. Look at this person. Look right here. They had it worse. And look where they are. Because they focused on them and they got themselves through it instead of sitting around and complaining about it. They took what they had and they went with it. Like, just force some luck.
Well, I'm glad you're passionate about my subject, Anthony.
You had no idea how passionate I was about this when you started.
I did not realize that, but I'm glad. Woo-hoo.
I'm sweating right now talking about this.
I love that. I love that.
But anyway, Sandy, I want you to take everything we talked about and summarize for it in a couple of sentences. What's your take-home message? Go for it.
Okay, we're going to start out with life doesn't happen to you. You happen to life. And when anybody out there tells you all the reasons why something not going to work out for you, or that's not your body, or that's not your life, and you're reaching for so much more, you look them in the eyes and you say, are you sure? Are you really sure? Because I really like who I am right now. That's it, baby. I like who I am right now. And I'm going to make this decision today to decide how I'm going to show up in my life. Because the downside of that is, even before you get what you're dreaming about, you're going to feel, here's the downside, you're going to feel better now. That's the downside, right? Because everything you want in life is because you believe you're going to feel better in getting it. So the downside is you're going to feel joy, love, peace, powerful, happy now.
I really couldn't agree more. And last question, I want to ask everyone, how can people find you, get a hold of you, and give us all the good stuff, Sandy?
Easy peasy. SandyJoyWeston.com. Weston, WESTON. Everything, I'm on every social media site, SandyJoyWeston.com. And that's where you can find my books and my workshops. And I would love to speak with you. And if I feel like we're a fit, we'll talk for 20 or 30 minutes. If I can't help you, I know a million people that can.
I love it. And thank you guys for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button and join us next week as we dive deeper into this ever-changing field. And remember, fitness is a journey, not a destination. Until next time. For us, we know what it's like to feel unhealthy, depressed, and downright defeated. We want to show others there is a right way, and through fitness, you can do anything you set your mind to. Fitness can give you that motivation, confidence, energy you need to bridge that mental gap and prevent you from missing important life events. We understand it's about feeling better, living longer, and being good examples for our kids. We understand this because we live it. And for us, that's the redefined difference.